Hi, it's Marta here. Welcome to this topic revision compilation for Spanish GCSE. Here you will find revision of the different topics you might encounter in the different exams, and we will pay special attention to the vocabulary elements and the different important expressions. In the video description, just below here, you will find details of what is included in this revision, and also in the description, so also here, you will find links to note sheets that you can use while watching the different parts of the revision session, and also practice activities. So this is all from me for now. Enjoy your revision and buena suerte. So let's start looking at family and friends, familia y amigos, thinking of how we describe ourselves, okay, or what do we do when we need to give our own information. So this is what we would do when someone asks for datos personales. Los datos personales, very commonplace in maybe listening or reading, where we are being asked to fill in a form or some sort of documentation. Okay, so we've got here un carnet de identidad. Remember, ID card in Spanish. And if the information is Marina, Marina es el nombre. Marina es el nombre o el nombre de Pila, Christian name, nombre de pila. López Sánchez son los apellidos, And remember, in Spain, people tend to have two surnames. 15 de noviembre de 1995, remember how we express dates, es la fecha de nacimiento, la fecha de nacimiento. Date of birth. 22 años es la edad, super important word for age. Valencia es el lugar de nacimiento. Lugar de nacimiento. Nacimiento, birth, lugar, place, birthplace. Calle Ebanistería número 25, and notice how we abbreviate the word número, number in Spanish, es la dirección, address, la dirección. España es el país, remember the word for country, país, y 03008 es el código postal, el código postal, postcode. Now, if we move on to talk about our family, and we want to describe our family, of course, we've got the word la familia. We are familiar with that, but we've also got words like los familiares. I don't know what's happening with my pen. Hold on a second. Here we go. Los familiares, relatives, or los parientes. Los familiares, los parientes, both words for relatives. And remember that los parientes, it's not the same as los padres, okay? Los padres, parents, los parientes, relatives. We can also talk about los miembros de mi o de la familia, family members. Okay, so we've got here already the most common words that we may encounter when talking about family. El abuelo, la abuela. Do remember that el abuelo y la abuela, if we want to mention them together, would be los abuelos, using the masculine plural. The same with la madre, el padre is los padres, etc. So we've got la tía, el tío, el hermano, la hermana, el primo, la prima. Pretty straightforward, but there are other words that, especially if you're sitting higher, you may want to, you may need to know, okay? And it's words that express people seen from other perspective, not from the perspective of the child, as we've got here, but maybe it's from the perspective of other people. So, for example, if I'm this gentleman here, if I'm el abuelo would say, esta es mi nieta, la nieta. Este es mi nieto, el nieto. Y estos son mis nietos. ¿Ya? El abuelo diría, este es mi hijo, my child, el hijo, y esta es mi nuera, ¿sí? Daughter-in-law. Esta es mi hija y este es mi yerno, son-in-law. Okay? Seen from this lady's perspective now, for example, she would refer to this gentleman as el suegro, father-in-law. And this lady here, for her, es la suegra. Esta es mi suegra, mother-in-law. Equally, these two children, this girl here, would be la sobrina. So she would say, esta es mi sobrina y este es mi sobrino. And in relation to these two people, for example, this lady would say, esta es mi cuñada, sister-in-law, y este es mi cuñado, son-in-law. Okay, so some of the words that you can add to your repertoire of members of the family, and maybe if you're writing, you may want to use some of these, and also listening, reading, you may encounter some of these words. Okay, also worth remembering what happens when families split up, mums and dads remarry. So really important to remember words like la madrastra, el padrastro, la hermanastra, los hermanastros, okay? Stepmom, stepdad, stepsister, stepbrothers. Do remember that if I want to say that this is my dad's wife, okay? If I want to say my dad's wife, I need to be careful with this hyphen, apostrophe S, as this doesn't exist in Spanish. So I would say, esta es la mujer, o la esposa de mi padre. Okay, esta es la mujer de mi padre. And I could say the same about this gentleman here. If I want to say my mom's husband, I would say el marido de mi madre. Okay, and other words to remember related to family, if I want to refer to these two brothers who are twins, that's the word for that is gemelos. Okay, estos hermanos son gemelos. Okay, now if I'm describing people, let's move on to describing people by their hair and their eyes, which is something very common that we will want to do in, like, for example, speaking assessments, picture description, or if we're doing writing as well, we may want to describe family. Really important in that case is that I know really well my verb to have, verb tener, okay? Tener is to have. So really important that I know that if I want to say I have, es tengo, you have, tienes, he or she has, tiene, we have, tenemos, you guys have, tenéis, they have, tienen. If I'm going to be describing hair, the next thing I'm going to need is el pelo. Okay, el pelo. We've also got in Spanish another word for hair, which is el cabello. It means the same. You can use it interchangeably. Nothing changes. It doesn't matter. And then we've got a series of adjectives that we can use to describe that hair. If we start at the bottom, we've got different colors that we can use. So rubio, blonde, castaño, brown, rojo or pelirrojo, ginger, gris, grey, negro, black. Other than by color, we can describe it by style. So we could say ondulado, wavy, liso, straight, rizado, curly, or we can describe it by length. So I can say tengo el pelo largo, long, or corto, short. So if I wanted to describe my own hair, I would say, so if I want, I would of course be using tengo because I'm describing my hair, so I'm going to say I have. So I would say tengo el pelo castaño, largo, y liso. Order of the adjectives in Spanish, not important. The only important thing is if you've got something like 3 adjectives, like here, we've got a comma between the first and the second, and an y between the second and the third, okay? So an y before the last adjective. So tengo el pelo castaño, largo y liso. I'm sure that most of you have worked out that my hair is brown, castaño, largo, long, and straight, liso. If I want to describe, for example, her hair, so I will assume her hair is long, wavy, and ginger. Let's call it red. She's got red hair. So I will say, because I'm describing her hair, of course I will use tiene, because I'm talking about she. So I will say tiene el pelo long, largo, wavy, ondulado, y ginger, pelirrojo, pelirrojo. And if I wanted to describe, for example, the twins' hair, because I'm talking about them, I need to use the they form, okay? So, of course, I'm going to say that they have blonde, curly, short hair, in whatever order I want to mention those adjectives. So, of course, if I want to say they have, I'm going to take the tienen el pelo short, corto, blonde, rubio, and curly, rizado. Okay, so regardless of who's got the hair, okay, regardless of whose hair it is, we're going to remember that always when we're describing hair, all the adjectives are going to be in masculine, singular, because hair, whether we use pelo or cabello, they are masculine, singular words. Of course, this changes slightly when I'm describing eyes. Why? Because generally speaking, people have got 2 eyes. So of course, when I'm describing eyes, I'm going to be using color. So of course, I've got verdes, green, azules, blue, negros, black, grises, gray, marrones, brown, all of which are in plural, masculine plural, because los ojos, which is what I need in between, is a masculine plural word. So if I want to describe my eyes, which are brown, I'm going to say tengo, because I'm talking about myself, I have the eyes, los ojos, brown, marrones. If I want to describe, let's say she has blue eyes. So in that case, because it's she has, I'm going to say tiene los ojos, and we said blue, so azules. Okay, azules. And if I wanted to say you guys have, let's say, green eyes, I would choose this one. You guys have, sorry, and would be tenéis los ojos verdes. Okay, so really important, do remember how to describe hair, eyes. Of course, if you know how to describe hair or eyes, then it's really easy to transfer that skill to describing someone's ears or nose or lips. You just need to find the right adjective and just use the right structure. Tengo, whatever, las orejas for the ears. Tengo las orejas grandes, I have big ears. Tengo la nariz ancha, I have a wide nose, and so on and so forth. So the same structure you can apply to anything. The other thing you also should remember is that, of course, I'm not only going to describe someone present, like in the present, I could also describe someone in the past. So I may want to say that my grandma had grey eyes. So I could say, mi abuela tenía los ojos grises. My grandma, okay, mi abuela tenía los ojos grises. She had grey eyes, and I'm using here imperfect because I'm describing someone who's not around anymore. Or I may want to describe my perfect partner. So I could say mi pareja ideal tendría el pelo largo, my perfect partner would have long hair. And here I'm using tener in the hold on for a second, in the conditional form, okay? Would have, my ideal partner would have long hair. Okay, so notice how we're not tied to the present tense, but in this case we're using the present tense. So here we've got the canvas, and here I've put here some vocabulary, some of the verbs that I'm going to be using while I go through some of the most important expressions and some of the most important vocabulary on relationships. So we're going to keep an eye on these, because these are the main things I'm going to be using. So to start with, we've got these two people, yeah? Tenemos a dos personas aquí. Tenemos a este chico, tenemos un chico y tenemos una chica, ¿sí? Un chico y una chica. Este chico es soltero. Este chico es soltero y esta chica es soltera. Soltero y soltera, single. Estos chicos no se conocen, ¿sí? Conocerse, to know each other. If I say no se conocen, this is they don't know each other. Pero en un momento, at a certain point, ¿sí? Aquí se conocen. Se conocen. This can mean they know each other. They know each other. Or they meet for the first time. Okay, they meet for the first time. Y empiezan a salir, empezar a salir, to start going out, okay? Salir, and we could say salir juntos, to go out together. ¿Sí? Empiezan a salir juntos. We could say se llevan bien. They get on well. Se llevan bien. Se ríen. They laugh. And here is the verb reírse. Y si seguimos, we could say se enamoran. They fall in love. Enamorarse. We've got it here. Enamorarse, to fall in love. We could say se aman o se quieren. They love each other. Amarse, quererse, to love each other. En este punto, we could say here, son novios. They are boyfriend and girlfriend. Este es el novio y esta es la novia. And we could say son una pareja. They are a couple, okay? A couple. The word pareja, a couple. If we carry on, si continuamos, aquí se casan, they get married. Notice the verb casarse, we've got it here, again, to get married. Okay, notice that most of these verbs, they've got this se in front. We will look in the second part of this revision session how these work. Why is it se casan, se enamoran, okay? But se casan, they get married. In the wedding, remember the wedding, la boda, este es el novio y esta es la novia. Y esta es la novia. So notice that novio can be boyfriend or groom. Novia can be girlfriend or bride. Okay, so these words, novio and novia, can mean both things. And once they're married, they are un matrimonio, a married couple. See, un matrimonio. Okay, we could see at this point, we could say son felices, they're happy. Sonríen, they laugh. Okay, they smile, sorry. Sonreír, to smile. Se comprenden, they understand each other. Se comprenden. We could still use the se llevan bien. They do get on well. Pero entonces, oh, desastre, desastre. Entonces aquí se llevan, se llevan mal, ¿sí? Se llevan mal. Llevarse mal, to get on badly. Se llevan mal. ¿Qué pasa? Discuten, ¿sí? Discuten, se pelean, no se soportan o no se aguantan. They can't stand each other. No se soportan, no se aguantan. Se molestan, they bother each other, they annoy each other. Así que, ¿qué pasa? Se separan. Se separan. Y aquí el es o está separado. Y está separada. Y finalmente, se divorcian. Está divorciado y está divorciada. Okay, the one thing I forgot to mention up here, okay, at this point, joining together with the está separado, está divorciado, of course, while they are married, I can say here está casado y está casada. Okay. And then we can say something. So this moment of separation, divorce can be a little bit sad, okay? So I can use verbs like llorar, to cry, lloran, they cry. Estar triste, okay? Están tristes, they are sad. We could even say se echan de menos, they miss each other, okay? To miss someone, echar de menos, okay? But hopefully we'll be able to say at the end, son felices in the end, okay? So, as you can see, there are lots and lots of expressions that can that can explain or can refer to positive and negative interactions in terms of relationships, you know, sort of love life relationship, how you get on with one another, okay? And when if you're writing about it, for example, how would you use? Let's have a look at which ones we could use if we want to say whether we get on well or we get on badly with people. So we're going to have some positive expressions on the one hand and some negative expressions on the other hand. Okay, so some positive expressions. What am I going to say if I want to say that I get on well with someone, or I'm happy with someone? So I can say me llevo bien, I get on well. And if I want to say with someone, that will be followed with con. Okay, me llevo bien con, I don't know, me llevo bien con Juan, I get on well with Juan. Okay, I could also say something like me relaciono con, I have a relationship, or I spend time with, okay, me relaciono con Juan. I could also say me divierto, o me divierto con, okay, I can say me divierto con mis amigos. Me divierto con mis amigos. I have fun with my friends. O lo paso bien, o lo paso bien con, okay, lo paso bien con mis primos. I have a good time with my cousins. I can also say, if I want to talk about generally speaking how I'm feeling, I could say me siento, okay, me siento feliz, me siento contenta o contento, me siento orgulloso, I feel proud, o orgullosa. Okay? If I want to express more negative feelings, more negative relationships, I can say, for example, me llevo mal, o me llevo mal con, let's say, me llevo mal con Natalia. I get on badly with Natalia. I can also use, for example, me peleo con, I fight with, okay? Me peleo con mi hermano. I fight with my brother, something that happens quite often. Me peleo con mi hermano. I can also say no soporto o no aguanto. I can't stand. I can't stand. No soporto a mi hermana, for example. Or the negative feelings for people, we could say me aburro con, I get bored with, okay? Me aburro con Miguel. He hasn't really got a conversation. Me aburro con Miguel. I could also say Miguel, if I want to go even more sophisticated, I could say Miguel me aburre. Miguel bores me. Okay? I could also go for things like, for example, lo paso mal. I have a bad time. Okay? Or me siento triste, for example. I feel sad. Okay? And also a really nice expression that we can also, we can always use. It's neither negative nor positive. It's a feeling we have when we haven't seen someone for a while, and we can use this expression that I used above, echar de menos, to miss someone. Okay, so I can say echo de menos a, okay, for example, echo de menos a Maria. I miss Maria. Okay, so let's have a look at the topic of la tecnología and see what vocabulary we may need to, we may need to know for listening and reading, but also for writing. Okay, this is a topic. What technology do you use on a daily basis? What do you use? What do you do in your free time? What did you used to use before? How has your life changed? Things like that could be things that easily could appear in a writing assessment. Okay, so do pay attention and let's make sure that we know as much of this vocabulary as possible. So vamos a empezar. Para empezar, vamos a mirar los dispositivos o los aparatos electrónicos. ¿Cuáles son los dispositivos o aparatos electrónicos? En primer lugar, tenemos el teléfono móvil. El teléfono móvil. También tenemos un poco más grande, tenemos la tableta, el teléfono móvil, la tableta. También tenemos el ordenador portátil. Y también tenemos, por ejemplo, el ordenador de sobremesa. ¿Sí? El ordenador de sobremesa, que tiene una pantalla, tiene la pantalla, tiene el ratón y tiene el teclado. ¿Sí? La pantalla, el ratón y el teclado. Y también tenemos como dispositivos, también hay, por ejemplo, las consolas de videojuegos. Las consolas de videojuegos, video games consoles. Okay, so here we've got a few names of a few devices that you may want to use when it comes to talking about what technology you use. Okay, so if we now move on to, okay, how do I use this technology? Okay, let's have a look. What could we say? We could say, for example, en el trabajo o en la escuela. Okay, so we could start with this for things that we do at work or at school, at college. Okay, so en primer lugar, mando emails. Another word for emails is also correos electrónicos. Oh. Maybe this last one is maybe a bit more sort of proper Spanish, but maybe, to be fair, people tend to talk more and more about emails. So, tenemos mando, I send, but we could also say recibo, I receive, okay? Mando y recibo, I send, I receive, mando, recibo. También recibo emails, ¿dónde? En mi buzón. Esto es el buzón, ¿ok? The inbox es el buzón. También recibo, we could say, mucho correo basura. ¿Ok? Recibo mucho correo basura. Notice this word, basura, is litter, yeah? Litter or refuse. So for spam, we say correo basura. Okay, and in this case, it would be recibo. ¿Sí? También utilizo el internet y en internet busco información. Important verb this, buscar, ¿sí? Busco, which can be to look for. But also we could use buscar for to research. ¿Sí? To look for or to research. So busco información. También guardo información. This is the verb guardar. Guardar, which is to put away or to save. And I've done here this little icon that many of you won't, some of you will relate to the action of to save, but you probably never ever have used one of these little discs. And what you may use more these days, other than cloud, by the way, if you want to talk about the cloud as in the space where you save something, that would be la nube, exactly the same as in the weather. La nube, the cloud. And this would be una memoria USB. Okay, so you could say guardo información en una memoria USB. Okay, if you save information, you need to organize it. And how do you organize it? You could say archivo mis documentos. Archivo mis documentos. And this is the verb, okay? Archivo is from the verb archivar, which is to file, okay? And this verb, you may encounter it both in the topic of technology, but also in the topic of work and jobs. Because, for example, if they were describing a job as a secretary, for example, part of what the job might entail would be to file documents. So this word archivar would be in that job description, okay? So it is a verb that does tend to appear every now and again. And finally, ¿vale? Finalmente, what can I do with my documents? Puedo imprimir. So imprimo, I print, imprimo mis documentos. Or we could say imprimo una fotografía. I print a picture, for example, una fotografía. Okay, so we've got here lots of different things I can do with technology when it comes to the field of work or school. Okay, when it comes to the field of free time, el tiempo libre, okay, en mi tiempo libre. So what could I say? If I've got here, okay, so we've got here differentiated. So this is what I do in terms of work or school. ¿Qué hago en mi tiempo libre? En mi tiempo libre descargo música. Descargo música. See? I download music. I could also say, of course, escucho música. I could also say escucho música. It's becoming more and more popular and more normal to do en streaming. Okay, and notice the pronunciation. Okay, we would say en streaming on streaming. Okay, we tend to add an e in Spanish. Just we may not write it, but we may say it. Okay, so notice that sometimes, especially with technology, we may have words that are in English and we just use it in Spanish. You use them in Spanish, but we sort of pronounce them a little bit more Spanish. Okay, so escucho música en streaming, for example. Important also to remember words like, I know some of you won't use these anymore, but they may still appear in things like listening comprehension activities. References to CDs, okay? CDs, CDs, MP3, DVDs. So I know if you see these in writing, you will know straight away what they are. But if you hear them, it may take you a little while to relate and remember what they are, okay? And realize that they are DVD, DVD, okay? So do pay attention and do remember to revise your letters, okay? The names of letters, important for spelling. I could also say it's not necessarily music, but also related to the media. We could say miro películas. Miro películas en Netflix, por ejemplo, ¿sí? Miro películas en Netflix. ¿Qué más? En mi tiempo libre también visito las redes sociales. Visito las redes sociales como Instagram, Facebook y Twitter, por ejemplo. ¿Sí? Instagram, Facebook y Twitter. ¿Y qué hago? So, visito, important verb, ¿eh? Visito. También cuelgo fotos en mi perfil. Cuelgo fotos en mi perfil. Cuelgo. I post. Literally, I hang. Okay? And this is from the verb colgar. to hang. So we tend to hang pictures rather than post them. I suppose it's the old-fashioned image of you hanging a picture on your wall. Okay, so cuelgo fotos en mi perfil, on my profile. We could also say en mi muro, okay, en mi muro, and this would be the word for wall. On Facebook, for example, you've got your wall, haven't you? I could also say chateo con mis amigos, por WhatsApp o por Messenger. Okay, chateo con mis amigos por WhatsApp o por Messenger. And one expression that you may have been encouraged to learn, although many of you, again, don't really will use them anymore because I'm not even sure they exist anymore, are las salas de chat rooms, okay? So remember that chatear is to chat online. If we just talk in person, if you just chat to someone in person or over the phone, remember that we will use the verb, we will use the verb charlar. Okay, charlar will be when it's in person or over the phone. When it's online, we will use charlar. What else can we do online? So other than doing things to do with music or with cinema or with social network or chatting with friends, another thing we can do is I could say leo periódicos y revistas digitales. Okay, important verb again. You know this verb, leer. Okay, leo, I read. Periódicos y revistas digitales. Digital magazines and, so magazine, revista, and newspaper, periódico. Okay, really important word. Remember also, related to this word periódico, we've also got the word periodista, a journalist. Periodista, which is a journalist, okay? So important, do learn and do tend to relate words. We have heard something similar to this word, okay? Y finalmente, what are the things I can do in my free time related to the internet? Pues I could say creo mi sitio web. I create my own website. Creo mi sitio web. Publico artículos. Ok, publico artículos o subo fotos a internet. Subir a internet. Subir, okay, this is subir, is, as you may know, to climb up, to go up, but also if you say subo fotos or subo artículos, that's to upload, okay? So descargar is to download, and we've seen that verb before here, descargar, and to upload, when you put some of your own production online, then that's subir, okay? Now, when we're talking about the internet, there are as well los riesgos. Riesgos. ¿Qué riesgos hay por internet? So, un riesgo son los virus, por ejemplo, los virus. También los hackers, por ejemplo. Los hackers. Notice how in Spanish we use the same word, but we do the H like a ja, okay? Los hackers. También otro riesgo puede ser, por ejemplo, el ciberacoso. El ciberacoso, okay? That's online harassment. Okay, so do think of any problems that could be associated with the internet, and what could happen. Okay, so I could say, for example, I could use I could use the expression perder la información, to lose the information. Okay, perder los deberes. If I get a virus and all my los deberes and all my homework is lost, perder, to lose. Okay, so that's one of the consequences or one of the possible risks of the internet and of technology. And finally, things that you need to think about are cognates. As I said, this field of technology is very much influenced by English. So we're developing more and more vocabulary in Spanish, which is basically based on English words. And I've got, for example, words like bloquear, to block. So if there's someone on Twitter and I don't want that person to look at my profile, whatever, I can block them. So I've got this verb, bloquear. I could say bloqueo or bloqueé, for example. I bloqueé a Juan. He was annoying me and I blocked him. Bloqueé a Juan. Another interesting verb is bloguear. Bloguear. Notice this is a G, okay? Bloguear, to blog, okay? And we've got the noun un blog. Notice how it's pronounced slightly different, okay? Un blog. And from here, we also have a person who writes blogs is un blogger, okay? If you're thinking, nowadays, there's also vlogs, aren't they? Now, in Spanish, we don't call them blogs because then it would be difficult to differentiate between this one and this one because the sound of the B and the V is the same. We call these un video blog, okay? Un video blog. And a vlogger would be un video blogger, okay? Un video blogger. Other verbs of new creation, we've got things like tuitear, to tweet. And of course, we've got a noun like un tweet, a tweet. We've also got new people. We've got un Instagrammer. We've also got un YouTuber. Okay, un Instagrammer, un YouTuber. Okay, and notice how, again, I'm pronouncing these in a slightly more Spanish way. Okay, so do think, really interesting, do think of any new vocabulary that you are using, any words that you're using related to technology, to the websites, to the social media that you use, and think how may they be, how could they be in Spanish? And if I wanted to write about these, how would I say that? Okay, so I hope that all of these vocabulary makes sense. I hope it has helped you. I hope it has, you have learned something new, and I hope that it has learned you sort of refresh your memory from what you had already. Vale, pues vamos a hablar de el tiempo libre. Vamos a hablar del tiempo libre. Una palabra importante es los pasatiempos. Los pasatiempos. Hobbies en español, los pasatiempos, ¿vale? Before we start talking about the different free time activities, something really important to remember: words like frequency words. Okay, if you're asked to write about free time, you're going to be asked, what do you do in your free time? So really, if you say I play football, or it's not that interesting, but add details. Say when do you do it? Often? Do you do it rarely? Do you do it always? Okay, so words like, for example, a menudo, often, de vez en cuando, from time to time, a veces, sometimes, siempre, always, nunca, never, rara vez, rarely, okay? Normalmente, usually, okay? So these words are going to be very important. If you want to give more detail, you could always say, for example, tres veces por semana, 3 times a week, o 3 veces al mes, 3 times a month, o 3 veces al año, 3 times a year. Okay, so really important to add more detail. Use those frequency expressions. Okay, now the first thing we're going to look at within el tiempo libre son los deportes. Los deportes. Sport, los deportes. 2 verbs I need to know. The first one, jugar, okay? Jugar, to play. And what forms I especially need to know? Juego, I play. Jugaba, I used to play. Jugué, I played. Jugaré, I will play. Okay, of course, do feel free to learn all the forms, but especially these 4 forms you need to know. And what sort of thing could I say? Okay, so I could say, de vez en cuando juego al baloncesto. De vez en cuando juego al baloncesto, basketball. Juego al billar. I play billiards, a pool. Juego a la pelota. I play pelota, a game like a bit similar to real tennis, played with a hand, so ball against the wall. Very popular in the north of Spain. Juego al balonmano, handball. Juego al tenis de mesa. I play table tennis. Of course, there are many other sports, but notice I'm giving you here some of the sports that you may play and that are not cognates with English. So they're not that similar or completely the same as in English. So you could say, for example, juego al rugby. Okay, but when you're writing it, rugby is spelled like rugby, so it's not going to show, it's not going to let you showcase everything, you know, or look at what amazing Spanish I know, okay? So rugby, el fútbol, notice, of course, fútbol spelled like this in Spanish. I don't know, el badminton. So many other sports that you play are more similar. So if you want to show off, I would advise you choose something that is not as similar to English. Okay, so this is as far as jugar, as far as the sports that are basically in essence games or that you play with balls is concerned. Okay, and that's why we play jugar. That's why we use jugar to play. But of course, there's another verb that we use in Spanish to talk about sports, which is hacer. Okay, hacer means to do. And this is the verb that I'm going to use with the rest of sports. So sports that you do, sports that you don't play. And what forms do I need to know from hacer? Well, the most important are going to be hago, I do. Hice, I did. Hacía, I used to do. And haré, I will do. Okay, and what sports am I going to use this with? Well, sports that I would say hago with or hice are, well, many. So let's look at those that are maybe, again, more dissimilar to Spanish. So hago, for example, escalada. Okay, and notice I'm going to be putting the article here, okay, so that you know whether it's masculine or feminine. But when I say the sentence, I'm not going to be using this, okay? So here, for example, is juego al baloncesto. I do use the al, but here I would say hago escalada without this, okay? So la escalada, hago escalada, hago boxeo, hago artes marciales, martial arts, hago salto con paracaídas, free diving, hago esquí acuático, water ski, hago, sorry about that, tiro con arco, o hago esgrima. Tiro con arco is archery, esgrima is fencing. Okay, there are others. There is things like vela, la vela, and then there are others that, you know, there are others like, for example, hago natación, hago, so that you will probably definitely know, no esquí, hago equitación o hago ciclismo. Now these last 3 are very important. Why? Because these 3 are probably the prime candidates for the exam to not use directly. So for example, if I do swimming, I could say hago natación, or I could also say nado, I swim, o voy a la piscina. So there are ways around them that would avoid using this word, okay? So if you're going to find a trick question where they want you to guess what sport it is, these three are probably prime candidates. So natación, because you can say this express it in these other ways. Equitación, I could say monto a caballo, I ride a horse. And ciclismo, I could say monto en bicicleta. Okay, I ride on my bike. Of course, many other sports you can say in a roundabout way, but these three are prime candidates. Other than these three, the other thing you may find in exams are expressions like los deportes de riesgo o de aventura. So risk or adventure sports. So things like puenting, bungee jumping, o el salto con paracaídas, o el rafting. Okay, these are sports, adventure sports, so you may find them mentioned like this, or you may find them referred to as los deportes de aventura. Another case is, for example, los deportes de invierno. Los deportes de invierno, things like el esquí, el snowboard. Okay, all winter sports, okay, deportes de invierno, may be referred directly or may be referred under deportes de invierno. And the same happens with things like los deportes acuáticos. Okay, water sports. So la natación, el esquí acuático, okay, they could be referred as los deportes acuáticos. Okay, other than that, also remember to, I'm not going to go through it because of time, but do remember to go through any vocabulary that is related. If you're going to talk about a sport you do, any other vocabulary that might be related to that sport. So things like, for example, el balón, the ball, el campeonato, the championship, el partido, the match, los jugadores, the players. Okay, so have a look and do bring in more detail. Okay, juego al fútbol is boring. Okay, but if you say normalmente juego al fútbol los sábados por la mañana, juego en un campeonato donde hay muchos jugadores. Okay, you can make it interesting and you can expand into it, and then it will be interesting. Okay, so think about it. So what other things can we talk about when we are talking about our free time? El cine o la tele. I'm having a nightmare with these. La televisión. El cine o la televisión. What verb's going to be important here? The verb ver, to see or watch. And what forms am I going to need? Especially veo, I watch. Veía, I used to watch. Vi, I watched. And veré, I will watch. And what will we watch? It will depend on whether it's TV or cinema. If I'm watching TV, la tele, okay? La tele. Notice in Spanish we don't do this abbreviation for TV. We don't write TV. Okay. So ver. Veo. What could I say? Veo un programa. A program. Un programa de televisión. Veo un concurso. A quiz or a contest. Un documental. I could say un documental de animales, for example, o un documental histórico, a history documentary. Veo dibujos animados, cartoons, dibujos animados. Veo una serie o series. Veo una telenovela, soap. We can also refer to this as un culebrón. Un culebrón is a long-lasting soap. Or I could say veo las noticias, the news. Las noticias. There are other types of programs, but these for now will do. If we move from la tele and we go to el cine what have I got? What can I watch in the cinema? ¿Qué veo en el cine? Pues puedo decir que veo en el cine veo una película de aventuras, an adventure film, una película de aventuras o de fantasía o de dibujos animados as well, o una película romántica o de terror, it's not horror by the way, de terror, una película de ciencia ficción o una película del oeste, for example. Okay, and I could also talk about a drama o una comedia. Okay, so many different types of films that we could watch. Now, within the topic of cinema, don't forget as well that it's not all about just the films, it's also about other things like words, vocabulary related to the world of cinema, like who takes part in it or what happens when we go to the cinema. So words like el actor o la actriz o el o la artista. Words like, for example, el papel, literally the paper, but this is a word we give to the role. Okay, if an actor plays a role, we talk about el papel, and in this case, while in English you say to play a role, in Spanish we talk about interpretar un papel, to interpret a role. Okay, so if you wanted to write like a little film review, so you would need probably this word to say who plays that role, interpretar, not jugar. And if you go to the cinema, you may also need words like, for example, la taquilla, the box office, or la butaca for the seat where you sit in the cinema. Okay, and of course there are many other words that are related to this. Do look into it. Okay, but this should get you started. If we swiftly move to the other thing that we can do in our free time, which is música, la música. ¿Qué hacemos con la música? Con la música puedo escuchar música. Okay, so if I'm going to say talk about listening to music, I could use this verb as in the present, escucho, I listen. I could say escuchaba, I used to listen. I could talk about a music genre that I used to listen and I don't listen to anymore. I could say escuché, I listened to something, like I listened to that song yesterday. Or escucharé, if I'm going to listen to something. Okay, so interesting, what things could I say escuchar? So different music genres. The good thing about music genres is that most of them are exactly the same as in English. So I've got la música clásica. It's probably one of the ones that is a bit more further away, believe it or not. O la música alternativa, o la música folclórica, folkloric music, but I could talk about el pop, el rock, el hip hop, notice hip hop, el rap, okay, and any other genre, they've got basically the same name. You just, they tend to be masculine genre, other than if you say la música and then the adjective. Okay. Other things that you can do with music, of course, you can listen to it or you can play it. Now be careful, because in Spanish we don't use the verb tocar to play music. We use the verb we do use the verb tocar. I wanted to say we don't use the verb jugar. Okay, we don't play music, we touch music. So we use the verb tocar. So I could say toco, which is literally I touch, but this is for I play. Tocaba, I used to play. Toqué, I played. Let's say I want to say I played in a concert yesterday. I would use toqué. And Tocaré, I will play. And what would I say these with? So, different instruments. Now, again, lucky thing, many instruments are cognates. El piano, el violín. But some that are not so close. La batería. Toco la batería, the drums. Toco la flauta. Close but not exact. Flute. Toco el teclado. By the way, flauta is also recorder. Okay, I play the recorder or the flute. You can specify, but la flauta will do for both. Teclado, the keyboard. These are the main, the main instruments that would be a little bit furthest away. Then we've got things like, for example, like el clarinete, la trompeta. So they are similar, okay? They're not exact, but they are similar to English. And of course, other verbs related to it is related to music is also words like descargar, okay? Descargar, to download. Maybe nowadays fewer and fewer people download music because we just tend to listen to it on streaming. But still, we can say descargo música. I download music. Descargué, I downloaded. Descargaba, I used to download. And descargaré, I will download music. Okay, and then other words, just to finish this topic on music, other words related to the world of music. Just remember, again, the people involved in it. So people like el o la cantante, el músico, okay, el músico, la música, el músico. Words like el o la guitarrista, guitarist, el o la bajista, the bassist, el o la batería, the person, the drummer. Okay, so if you want to be precise when you talk about music, these are words that you can use on that. And then to finish with this topic, we've got other activities, okay? Otros pasatiempos. So what else can we do in our free time if we're not doing any of these things? So I could say things like, for example, juego al ajedrez, chess, juego al ajedrez, o juego a los videojuegos, juego a los videojuegos, video games, o juego a juegos, games de mesa, literally games of table, board games. Or we could say, of course, voy de compras, I go shopping. Voy a la discoteca, I go clubbing. Salgo con amigos. We know all of these, don't we? Salgo con amigos. But then there are other activities that some of you may do. Like, for example, hago bricolaje, I do DIY. O colecciono, I collect. Colecciono, I don't know. Sellos, I collect stamps. O me gusta, I could say me gusta. La lectura, I like reading, important word. Or la escritura, I like writing. Okay, so really, really important words. Before I finish, very, very quick, a nice expression that I like. It's the word, I don't know what I've done now. It's the word disfruto. Disfruto followed by gerund, okay? So especially if you're doing higher, I would really encourage you to use this. So for example, in this case, coleccionar, okay? Coleccionar, I would add ando instead of the AR, and I could say disfruto coleccionando sellos, okay? Disfruto coleccionando. So this is a bit of a step up from some of the expressions like me gusta, no me gusta. okay? But if you're doing especially higher, do look at those more complex ways of expressing likes or dislikes, okay? So yes, like for example, if I wanted to say I enjoy writing, I could say disfruto escribiendo, okay? And it would be this yendo ending because the verb is escribir, okay? I'm not going to say much more about it. If if you've seen this, fantastic. If you haven't and are interested, please do ask your teacher. I don't want to make this too long, but do ask your teacher and see. You will see that it's very, very easy, okay? You just need this ando or the yendo for er and ir verbs, and yeah, and that's it for now, okay? So do get looking and using and describing all these free time activities, and especially make it really, really interesting. So let's look at what vocabulary we would need if we were talking about mi casa. See, mi casa, remember, casa can be home, it can be house as well. The most typical is house, but also casa is the generic that we use for home, okay? Y mi ciudad. Notice the pronunciation of this word, ciudad. Many people have problems. Ciudad, town or city, okay? So let's have a look at what is the main vocabulary that we need to know about this topic. Really important topic, because we may find this topic in listening and reading. Okay, very typically we will use find descriptions of, for example, where do I need to go in my town to buy this or to buy that, or what type of place does this person describe, or where does this person live. But also in writing and in speaking, you will also be required to know and to be able to describe where you live, your town, or maybe not so much the house where you live, but more the town, the region, the area. So really, really, really important. Okay. So, to start with, let's look at the area, the field of mi casa, okay? If I'm describing mi casa, describo mi casa, what things would I need? Okay, I could say vivo, okay, vivo en, so this is the king, okay, the king construction, vivo en un bloque de pisos. Vivo en un bloque de pisos, a sort of tower block or a block of flats, okay? I could also say, if I live in a flat, vivo en un piso. Notice that also in Spanish we've got the word apartamento, like in English, okay? We sometimes describe these as un apartamento, but we tend to use the word apartamento more for holiday, like a holiday flat, a holiday place. The place where you live, we tend to refer to that as un piso. Okay, and what other things other than una casa? Obviously, we've got. Let's imagine these are together. Okay, I could say vivo en una casa adosada. Una casa adosada. Important word, adosada. And other words related to to the place where you live could be also words like el hogar, another word for home, la vivienda, which is like a dwellings or a housing, okay, vivienda. Y, if you want to go a bit more technical, el domicilio, okay, domicilio, which is in English, you've also got the word domicile, which is again the place where you work. It could be that for example, in forms, okay, if you're filling in a form, which is nombre, apellidos, you may find the word domicilio for address, okay. Of course, you could also find the word dirección, okay, for your address, but domicilio is a possibility. So, of course, when we're talking about house, do remember I'm not going to go through all this vocabulary now because I wouldn't have time to do it all, but do remember to revise rooms, okay? Important that you know the names of all the possible rooms in the house, okay? La cocina, el dormitorio, la terraza, el balcón, okay? Also, etc., etc. Have a look, remember, remind yourself of them. Also the names of furniture, okay? Items of furniture, la mesa, la silla, el sofá, la butaca, la cama, okay? So do revise the names of the different names of furnitures, and also things like appliances, okay? Anything that could be around the house, la lavadora, la secadora, el lavaplatos o lavavajillas, la tostadora, any appliances that could be around the house. So just basically think anything that you could need to know. For example, just think if someone was describing a room, what vocabulary would that person need? If I was to describe my bedroom, what vocabulary would I need? So please do revise all that vocabulary, okay? Other words related to a house could be things like el alquiler, the rent, el ascensor, especially if you live in a block of flats, for example. La calefacción, that's not going to fit in here. Hold on, I'm going to put it down here. La calefacción, the central heating, calefacción. When we were talking about furniture, remember, los muebles. Los muebles is the name for the furniture, okay? And it's a plural word, okay? Also words like la pared, the wall, or el suelo, the floor, okay? And also words like, I know it's not a room, but words like el pasillo, the corridor in a house. Okay, so do go through all this vocabulary. So if we leave the house, then where do we end up? Well, we end up in our town or our village or the area where we live. So words useful to describe that are, first of all, la zona. Okay, la zona, the area. So I could have things like en mi zona hay, in my area there is. We also use the word el área, okay, el área, which is of course the area. We can also use words like la región, the region. Remember, in Spanish we also have the expression la comunidad autónoma. La comunidad autónoma, the autonomous community. There's 17 of them there are, and it's the different regions in Spain. Spain is divided into 17 regions. They're called comunidad autónoma, and it could come up because this is part of the sort of this would be part of the sort of cultural topic. Okay, so do remember this expression, comunidad autónoma, and of course do not forget the expression el país, for the country. Okay, many people, for some reason, this word, so many people just struggle with it, el país. Okay, so if I'm describing the town or city where I live, what words do I need to know? Okay, it depends on how big the place where you live in. So we will start with the smallest. Okay, we'll start with the smallest. Let's say this. Okay, a little town. Okay, a little village or a hamlet. Okay, let's call it the hamlet. We would call this una aldea. Okay, una aldea. So I could say vivo en una aldea muy pequeña. I live in a very small hamlet. If we add a few more houses, okay, the next level up, so it's a bit bigger than una aldea. This, okay, let's imagine it includes the bits in the center and the bits outside. So this would now be un pueblo. Okay, so un pueblo is a village or a small town. Okay, so it can be either. Then if we go a little bit bigger, or much bigger, okay, the next level up from un pueblo, the next level up, then we would have una ciudad. Okay, and within una ciudad, if I take an area of a city, okay, an area of the city would be called un barrio. Okay, un barrio, a neighborhood or a district, for example. Okay, un barrio. And also then if we go outside of the city, so in this case I'm not going bigger, I'm just going outside of the city, and I'll put some trees for clarification. Okay, we would call this area, so the outskirts of somewhere, could be of a city or of a village, whatever, we would call it las afueras. Afueras, the outskirts. Okay, so lots of expressions, lots of words you can say to describe where you live. So vivo, you could say vivo en una aldea, but you could also say something like vivo en las afueras de una aldea. Okay, I live in the outskirts of a hamlet or of a town. Okay, so do think that you can also sort of make these expressions a little bit more complicated if you need it. Okay, or you could say vivo en el barrio o en un barrio de la ciudad de Londres, for example. Okay, vivo en un barrio de la ciudad de Londres. If you want to be a bit more specific, for example, of where you live, rather than vivo en Londres, I live in London. Okay, and then of course from here you would go on to describe what this barrio, this neighborhood or district, is like. Okay, so do remember all these different words. So once we've talked about where we live and we've located it, and do remember lots of adjectives as well. Okay, do remember that where you live can be, for example, let's say it's una ciudad, and we can talk about it being histórica or industrial or moderna. Okay, or una ciudad, you could even call it una ciudad dormitorio, a commuter town. Okay, we call it like a dormitory or a bedroom city. Okay, the place where people only go to sleep basically because they work elsewhere. Or we could talk about una ciudad, I don't know, una ciudad, yeah, it could be many other things. You could say gris if it's a grey town, for example. Okay, so do remember to use adjectives to qualify it. But once we know where we live, then we need to look at what there is. Okay, and this is what we were sort of introducing with the hay. En mi zona, or en mi ciudad, or en mi barrio, hay. And then we talk about tiendas. Okay, las tiendas, the shops, las tiendas, for example. So what shops are there? Okay, the first group to remember of shops, which are going to be really important when you think about learning shops, do learn about the shops, but also do learn about what they sell. Okay, some vocabulary of what objects they sell, because again, in listening, in reading comprehension activities, they may describe a shop by what it sells or what you can do there, rather than give you the name of the shop. Okay, so knowing, for example, I'll probably tell you a bit later on, but just in case, okay, knowing that, for example, sello is stamp, okay, or carta is letter, or sobre is envelope, is going to help you identify that maybe what you need to know is correos, okay, post office, etc. So do think of that. But the first group of shops that you need to bear in mind is the shops that are identified. Okay, the shops whose name is basically what they sell plus area. Okay, what they sell plus area. I'm simplifying this a lot, and might not be precisely that. It's got to do more with what person works there. But anyway, just so that you've got a bit of a guideline of how it works. So let me have a look. For example, the butchers. Okay, the butchers. Okay, the butchers sell meat. Okay, yeah, meat is carne, okay? And the name for the butchers is carnicería. Many of them have got little adaptations in between, okay? These also, the reason why I was saying that it may not be exactly like this is because this comes also from the word carnicero, butcher, okay? So carnicero, carnicería, okay? So it's got to do with what it sells, the name of the person who works there, okay, etc. But more or less it makes sense. Sometimes it's easier if you think of what they sell. So for example, the shoe shop, okay? So I know that shoe is zapato, okay? Shoe shop is zapatería, okay? And like this, we've got the florists, floristería, because flower is flor. We've got pescadería for fishmongers, because fish is pescado. Papelería for stationery shop, from papel, paper. Panadería from pan, which is bread, so it's bakery. Frutería, juguetería. Have a look at these because there's tons of them, okay? So do revise all of these that basically tell you what they sell. Then there is another group of shops, or places in town and shops. The second group is the I would say the sort of, I'll call them the uncomplicated ones, which would be probably near cognates, okay? They're not too far away from the English, or they are pretty transparent. So for example, un parque de atracciones, okay? Attractions park, it's a theme park or a what do you call it? Yeah, like the theme park. Una galería de arte is an art gallery. Un banco will be a bank. Un castillo, a castle. Una farmacia, pharmacy. Una farmacia, un cine, cinema. Un mercado, market. Un teatro, theater, okay? Un museo, el puerto, the port. Supermercado, supermarket. Hospital, maybe una sala de juegos. This one is easy, of course, as long as you know the vocabulary and you'd remember that juegos is games, so it's going to be a game, like an arcade. Una sala de juegos literally is like a games room, but it's an arcade. And here I would also add things like un polideportivo, which is not necessarily the easiest one, and it's not a cognate, but to be fair, this is probably something that you learned back in Key Stage 3 in year 8, probably 7, 8, polideportivo, which is the sort of sports center. Okay, so all those words, all those expressions that are similar to English, or you learned back when you started learning Spanish and you did this topic for the first time, do remind yourself of those as well. And then there's also I would say the one I like to call the old favorites. Old favorites in exam, which of course are those that are a little bit more a little bit less transparent. Which are these? Okay, things like un estanco. Estanco is a tobacconist, and in the estanco, it's a tobacconist, so they sell tobacco, but they also sell sellos. Okay, they also sell stamps, and it works a little bit like a post office in the sense that they do these things. You can post things, you can buy stamps, and you can buy cigarettes. It's a bit of an odd combination for a someone who's not used to it. There's also, as I said earlier on, there's also correos. Okay, correos is the post office. we can also call it Oficina de Correos. And here the thing is, though, at the post office, at the Oficina de Correos, generally you will go for bigger, to send bigger things or to collect things. Okay, so if you need a sello, a stamp, often you'll go to the estanco to buy it. Okay, we can also have, of course, una plaza de toros, a bull ring, una plaza de toros, una iglesia. This tends to appear quite a lot. Do remember as well, okay, other vocabulary which is more and more common, una mezquita, a mosque. Okay, of course, more and more towns in Spain have got mosques as well. So, you know, do tune into as, you know, how sort of customs evolve, okay? Because before, of course, there would have only been churches in Spain, because there was Catholicism or Christianism was the only religion allowed. But of course, things have changed since then. So, you know, be aware of other things that are not just iglesias. There's also un centro comercial, a shopping center, una librería, and this one is important because you need to remember that una librería is not the same as una biblioteca. Librería is the shop, bookshop. Biblioteca is the library. Okay, so in this case it's a bit of a false friend, important to remember. We've also got unos grandes almacenes, department store, literally big warehouses. Okay, that's almacén is a warehouse, but literally is big warehouses. That's actually a department store. A big favorite is el ayuntamiento, the town hall. La comisaría, important as well. La comisaría o comisaría de policía, police station. El kiosco, where you buy news agents. La gasolinera, petrol station. And things like la peluquería, hairdressers, just because it's quite far away from the word hairdressers. Okay? And then finally, I'm going to mention a few that are, especially in the Edexcel higher, okay, the high specification, words that they could come up. They are maybe a little bit less transparent, as they're things like la tintorería, the dry cleaners, la ferretería. Ferretería is this like the hardware shop where you buy like nuts and bolts and things like that. La caja de ahorros. Caja de ahorros. It's a bit like the building society. La tienda de comestibles. Tienda de comestibles. It's the greengrocers or a very small, like a little supermarket, you know, around the corner. La droguería. La droguería is where you would find cleaning products and sort of hygiene products. Y el centro de ocio, like leisure center. Okay, so some that again are quite, they're not very transparent at all, and that maybe if you're doing higher, it might be worth knowing this. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to look at, so we've looked at shops and places in town, we've looked at house, and the last thing I want to talk about is en la calle. En la calle, in the street. What do we find in the street? And here I'm going to apologize in advance for the aberration I'm about to commit. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you in a bit more, in a bit of a drawing of what words we may need to know when we are talking about things in the street. Okay, so let me start by drawing something that hopefully it's going to take a little bit of, it's going to start making sense shortly. Okay. Ok, ¿qué tenemos aquí? ¿Qué tenemos aquí? Aquí hay mi calle. ¿Ok? Esta es mi calle. En mi calle hay la acera. La acera. En mi calle también hay un paso de cebra. Hay también una glorieta. En mi calle también hay un aparcamiento. Un aparcamiento. Y en la calle hay también, aquí, hay una esquina. Hay la esquina. Aquí hay la vía para bicicletas o también el carril bici, Por aquí, por aquí pasa el río. Por aquí pasa el río. Y aquí hay el puente. Aquí hay el puente. En mi pueblo también hay una zona verde muy grande. Hay una zona verde muy grande. Y aquí no hay coches, solamente hay personas. Estas personas son peatones. Y esto es una zona peatonal. Una zona peatonal. Finalmente, aquí hay una parada de autobús. Hay una parada de autobús. Okay? So these are maybe some of the more important words that you need to know about town. Of course, there are many others like estación, estación de tren, estación de metro, estación de autobuses. And also there are other words like, for example, that if we go outside of the town, we may have words like la autopista, the motorway, or la autovía. And of course, I will also need to remember words of some means of transport. I've already mentioned autobús, tren, but also things like el camión, the lorry, camión, el autocar, the coach, and el ciclomotor. Okay, the moped. And do remember as well in this topic that things like talking about problems, things that don't quite go right in your town. Hay demasiado ruido, too much noise, demasiada contaminación. pollution might also be important. Okay, so I'm going to leave this here because I'm aware that I'm going on and on a bit about it. But do please, again, as I usually say, use this as a starting point to keep expanding on this vocabulary. Okay? Vale, las vacaciones, the holidays, las vacaciones. Tengo muchas ganas. Tengo muchas ganas de ir de vacaciones. If I say this, what am I saying? I'm really looking forward to going on holidays. So here is my first little nugget to you. Tengo muchas ganas de is I'm really looking forward to. Okay, and we all. Okay, las vacaciones, really popular topic, so let's crack on with it. Let's start. If I'm going on holiday, what are the first things I need to know when I'm talking about this topic? First thing we're going to look is the most important verb, the verb ir, to go. What forms are going to be especially useful? Well, things like voy, of course, followed by a, I'm going to, voy a, or vamos a, we are going to. Okay, there are other forms, of course, but I'm just looking at the ones that are going to be the most useful, okay, the most essential. Others would be fui a, I went to, or fuimos a, we went to. Another one would be iba a, I used to go to, or íbamos a, we used to go to. And finally, we'll look at iré a, I will go to, or iremos a, we will go to. Okay, so other than these forms, of course, there are many others. Okay, but these are probably the most essential ones you should make sure you know. So let's start with los países, countries, los países. What can we say? So voy a. Some important names of countries that you must remember are probably, many of them are cognates. Okay, we've got things like Italia, Grecia, Portugal. Many are cognates, so pretty much like in English. But precisely those that are related to the UK are those that maybe are a little bit less cognate sort of thing. So let's make sure that you remember words like Reino Unido, United Kingdom, Gran Bretaña, Great Britain, Inglaterra, of course, not to mix it up with English, Escocia, Scotland, Irlanda del Norte, y Gales o País de Gales. Remember, this is not Gales, it's Gales. Okay. Other important names of countries are probably los Países Bajos, the Netherlands, or los Estados Unidos, the United States. Abbreviated, you may see it in written like this, EEUU, okay, los Estados Unidos. Not in Spanish, we don't write USA, okay, it's Estados Unidos. Other things that you need to bear in mind, especially if you're doing your own writing and you're talking about holidays in the UK, some things you may want to bear in mind is a couple of names of places in the UK which will have a Spanish name if you're writing in Spanish. What do I mean? Okay, Cornualles, the Spanish word for Cornwall, Cornualles. Londres, the Spanish for London, or Edimburgo, the Spanish for Edinburgh. Okay, most of the places you may go to in the UK have not got a Spanish name, so it will be exactly the same in English, as in English. But in the case of these three, there may be others, but in the case of these three, you must use the Spanish name. Okay, if you are planning on writing on a specific place, do a little bit of research and check that it hasn't got a sort of funny name. in Spanish, okay? Other things that you may want to say when you are talking about your holidays, you may want to say that you went to one of these countries, okay? So of course you would say fui a, and then the name of the country, but you may also want to say something like me quedé en Inglaterra, for example. Me quedé en Inglaterra. I stayed in England, okay? We could also say me quedo en Inglaterra. I stay in England, if that's what we usually say, or do, or me quedaré en Inglaterra. I will stay in England. You could also say, for example, me quedé en mi casa. I stayed at home. O me quedé en mi ciudad. I stayed in my town. O me quedé en mi pueblo. I stayed in my smaller town or village. Okay, and also remember that when you're talking about what country you go or you went to, you can also add a little bit of detail. And what do I mean by this? Tell me whereabouts you went. So, for example, fui al norte de España. Miles better than just saying España, okay? So, al norte de, I went to the north of, okay? Fui al sur de España, I went to the south of Spain, o fui al este de España, o fui al oeste de España. Okay, just by adding this, it sounds miles better. Okay, so give detail, remember. Okay, once we've got the countries, okay, let's think about when we are traveling, okay? When we are traveling, let's think about el viaje. El viaje, important this word, remember, it can mean trip, it can mean journey, or it can mean travel, okay? 3 different words in one in Spanish. So who have we got in a journey or in a trip? The person who travels, el viajero, or if they're traveling in transport, el pasajero, the passenger. We can also have la viajera o la pasajera. ¿Qué llevan? El pasajero lleva una maleta, o lleva muchas maletas, o el equipaje. El equipaje también puede llevar el equipaje de mano, ¿sí? El equipaje de mano. Empezamos el viaje y vamos al aeropuerto. En el aeropuerto, ¿qué hay en el aeropuerto? En el aeropuerto hay el avión, and we could say viajé en avión, I traveled by plane. See, I could say fui al aeropuerto, I went to the airport, viajé en avión. What do you do when you first get to the plane? What do you do? Embarcar, to board. So if I'm talking about what I did, I could say embarqué, I boarded. When the plane goes, we talk about despegar. So I could say el avión despegó. And at the other end, we talk about aterrizar. El avión aterrizó. Things that we may need to know about airports, things that could come up in, especially in listening. This is called el altavoz, and So a loudspeaker. I'm sorry, it's not a very good. It's a very good loudspeaker. And what does it give? It can give us un aviso, a warning or an announcement. Okay, un aviso. And what could the classic aviso, the classic announcement in an airport, talk about? It could be about un retraso, a delay, un retraso, okay? And typical things that could be due to una huelga, a strike, or el mal tiempo, bad weather, okay? So think about these sort of possible announcements that you may need to pick up. Where's it traveling to, or what is the reason? Okay. What are the problems other than delays, retraso? What are the problems maybe in the airport? Perder el avión, literally to lose the flight. Perder is to lose, but also it's literally is to lose the plane. But this is how we say to miss a flight. Okay, perder el avión. So do bear this in mind. Possible problems. We can also use this word perder for to lose the luggage. Okay, we could say perder el equipaje. Okay, so I could say, for example, la compañía, the company, la compañía perdió mi equipaje. The flight company lost my luggage. Okay, so think about problems that could happen. What other things? Sometimes you need to change planes. Yeah, you need to do a transfer, and we can talk about un cambio, hacer, to do, hacer un cambio de avión. Or we can also talk about hacer transbordo. Okay, hacer transbordo, and in that case we can talk about la conexión. La conexión, or el enlace. Okay, two possible words to talk about connection. I know that I'm going maybe into a little bit of detail, but it's worth doing this when you're writing about holidays, because you don't want to stick to the boring, I went to Spain and I ate paella and stuff like that. Okay, so do be prepared to add a little bit more detail, and of course this detail is also going to be useful for things like listening, especially when announcements and things may come up. Okay, other things related to transport. We're not traveling by plane anymore. We're traveling by train. Lovely train. It's super modern, isn't it? So things about el tren. Viajar en tren. Si voy en tren, esto es el vagón. El vagón, ¿vale? And remember, el tren de alta velocidad, el tren de alta velocidad, high-speed train in Spain, it's called el AVE. Oh, sorry, not AVA, that's something else. AVE, AVE, AVE. Okay, that's the name for the fast train in Spain. So do remember that as well. When we're traveling by train or by on the aeroplane, I could say necesito un billete, need a ticket de ida o de ida y vuelta. Okay, de ida y vuelta. Remember these expressions: return ticket, ida y vuelta, de ida, single ticket. Okay, vale. Having seen the journey one, vamos a ver el alojamiento. Could have it on here. El alojamiento. Sorry about that. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, el alojamiento. accommodation, really important word, el alojamiento. Important verbs to know. Me alojo en, I stay in, o me alojé en, I stayed in, o me alojaré en, I will stay in. Okay. Also, if we want to say we will stay, nos alojamos, we stay in. Nos alojamos can also be we stayed in. Y nos alojaremos would be we will stay. Okay. So important verb, alojarse, to remember. And what places may I stay in? So un hotel, we know that, but una pensión, me alojé en una pensión, I stayed at a B&B. Un albergue, hostel, o un albergue juvenil, a youth hostel, o en un parador, a nice hotel placed in a historic building, very typical in Spain. Okay, or we could say en un camping. And remember that the pitches where you stay at a camping are called una parcela, if you want to talk about the exact place where you stayed. Okay, you can also, sorry about the papers, we can also use the verb, another important verb is alquilar. Alquilar, to rent or to hire. So I could say alquilo, I hire, or alquilé, I hired, or alquilaré, I will hire or I will rent. Of course, you can also say it in the we form. So alquilamos, we hire. Alquilamos is also we hired, and alquilaremos is we will hire. Okay, so important verb, alquilar. And what could you say you hired or someone hired? Well, un apartamento, we know that. Un chalet. We can also talk about, for example, un bungalow. We can also talk about, for example, un hotel o un apartamento de dos habitaciones, 2 rooms with 2 bedrooms, habitaciones, o un apartamento con piscina, o un apartamento o un bungalow al lado del mar, by the seaside, for example. Yeah. Also remember all the different types of like bed combinations you could use if you rent if you hire a room, like una habitación individual, doble, okay, and so on and so forth. So do have a look and remember all those things. Also important, what you call it, the board. Okay, so for example, we talk about we could say iré de vacaciones. I will go on holidays. Iré de vacaciones en régimen de, and then I could say media pensión, half board, o pensión completa, full board, o alojamiento y desayuno, bed and breakfast. Okay, so do remember this expression, régimen, and the boards. Okay, media pensión completa. Okay, and then finally, important things, los problemas, things that could happen, very common, los problemas, all sorts of problems you could encounter when you're on holiday. Okay, if you're writing about holidays, just say some give you some interesting problems someone may have come about. Important, los problemas related to this is the verb quejarse, to complain, or la queja, the complaint, okay? So you may come across these words. And what things could you hear? You could hear or read or write about. No hay, there isn't, or no había, there wasn't. What things there may not be? Okay, no había o no hay almohada, pillow, almohada, sábanas, sábanas, bedding, jabón, soap, agua o agua potable, so water or drinking water, agua potable. No hay luz, there's no light or no electricity. No hay piscina, swimming pool. No hay aparcamiento, parking. No hay o no había aparcamiento. No había agua, agua caliente, hot water. Okay, you could also have, if something's not working, you could say no funciona, it's not working, or no funcionaba, it wasn't working. ¿Qué no funcionaba? No funcionaba la calefacción, the heating, o el aire, no funcionaba el aire acondicionado, o no funcionaba el televisor, o no funcionaba el frigorífico, o no funcionaba la ducha. Okay? And finally, the other things that could go wrong in the holidays, we could say, hizo mal tiempo. The weather was bad. Hizo mal tiempo. Hizo mucho calor. Hizo mucho frío. It was very hot. It was very cold. Other common complaints. Había mucha gente o había muchos turistas. Había mucho ruido. Ruido is also a common complaint. O había mucha basura. There was a lot of basura, litter everywhere. Okay? And two final complaints or two final problems could be, for example, this is a bit of a classic for some, perdí la llave, I lost the key, o perdí el pasaporte. Okay? And again, I could go on and on for a while, but I won't. But basically, remember, you've got lots and lots and lots of things to write about if you're asked to write about the holidays. So make your writing interesting. Write about a variety of things, not just where you went and whether it was nice and pretty or not. Okay, give as much detail as possible, and you won't go wrong. Vale, pues vamos a hablar de la educación. Para empezar, what words have we got to talk about school? Okay, when we want to talk about school, there are several words we can use in Spanish. We've got the most common one, la escuela, o el colegio, which is not going to really be college. Okay, el colegio is school. Within la escuela, we can talk about la escuela primaria and la escuela secundaria. Okay, la escuela primaria y la escuela secundaria. And when we talk about the escuela secundaria, we can also talk about el instituto, okay? A secondary school, a place where they only do secondary, more often than not will be called instituto in Spanish. Other than this, we've also got some other expressions, like, for example, el parvulario. El parvulario is the infant school or in infant school, okay, the very early years. And then, of course, afterwards we've also got things like la universidad, which we will talk about later on, okay? So, let's start with la escuela. ¿Qué hay en la escuela? En la escuela, estudio, muchas asignaturas. ¿De acuerdo? En la escuela estudio muchas asignaturas. ¿Ok? Asignaturas. Subjects. I can also say aprendo. Aprendo. I learn from the verb aprender. Okay? And of course, within estudio, which is I study, we can also use it in the past. For example, estudiaba, I used to study, or in the future, estudiaré. So notice and remember that all this thing about school, you can talk about what you used to do, what you will do, etc. So, las asignaturas. ¿Qué asignaturas hay? Hay dos tipos de asignaturas. Hay asignaturas obligatorias y asignaturas optativas, ¿ok? Asignaturas obligatorias y asignaturas optativas. Compulsory, sort of the ones that you can use, you can choose, optativas, okay? Obligatorias, compulsory subjects. I'm not going to go through the whole list of subjects that you will have learned from Key Stage 3, but some that you may need reminding of, okay? We could say, for example, estudio educación física, estudio educación física, o estudio educación personal, social y sanitaria. We haven't got, this is like PSHE. We don't really have got this in Spain. There isn't really an equivalent subject, strictly speaking, but these would be like the closest translation of PSHE if you want to talk about it in your writing, for example. Okay, and of course there are many other compulsory subjects which you already know, la historia, geografía. They're not compulsory, are they, at GCSE? El inglés, las ciencias, las matemáticas, okay, all of those I assume you already know. And in terms of optativas, las optativas, what subjects you may be studying at GCSE that maybe you haven't seen before? Okay, this we could say estudio comercio, business, estudio cocina o tecnología alimentaria, food tech. Estudio, we can say estudio español, estudio francés, estudio alemán, but we can say estudio lenguas extranjeras, estudio lenguas extranjeras o estudio idiomas. We could say estudio tecnología de diseño, design technology. Estudio dibujo, art, more like drawing, but we can also say arte, estudio arte, o estudio artes plásticas. Okay, all of these you could use to say art, okay? Y we could say también, también podemos decir estudio arte dramático, a bit of a, another way of saying teatro, okay? Drama. So of course I can say estudio, I can say aprendo. I can also say, for example, if I'm talking about what a teacher does, I could say, for example, el señor López enseña español, okay? El señor López enseña español, teaches, enseña español. Or I could say, for example, el señor López me ayuda, helps me, okay? El señor López me ayuda, nice expression as well, this ayudar, okay? We can also say, to express opinions, of course, express opinions of subjects, we can say me gusta, no me gusta, me encanta, but let's remember to use things like a little bit more sophisticated. No soporto, I can't stand. Me fascina. Me fascina, I'm fascinated about. Me interesa. Me interesa. Something, some subject interests me. Me interesa el arte. Me interesa la tecnología. But also I can say things like, for example, se me da bien, I'm good at, or no se me da bien, I am not good at. Okay, so se me da bien la geografía, o no se me da bien la historia. Okay, remember that if, for example, if you're talking about the plural subject like las matemáticas, I would say se me dan bien o no se me dan bien las matemáticas. Okay, with matemáticas, ciencias, we would use the plural because it's a plural subject. Okay, so do remember. And when we're talking about subjects, of course, part of those subjects are things like exams and evaluations. So of course, we've got words like la prueba. La prueba, I could say tengo una prueba, I have a test, or tengo un examen, I have an exam. Now, if I pass it, okay, if I pass it, I'll use the verb aprobar, to pass. Okay, so I could say, for example, I hope to pass my exams. Espero aprobar mis exámenes. I mean, and if I don't pass it, so I fail my exams, I will use the verb suspender, like to suspend. Okay, suspender, that's to fail an exam. Okay, so I could say, I don't know, suspendí matemáticas. I failed in maths. Okay, so two interesting verbs: aprobar, to pass; suspender, to fail. To fail, but I said only in exams. Okay, if you fail at something, okay, at doing anything else that's not an exam or a subject, that would be fracasar. Okay, fracasar, that's the more generic to fail. Okay, and finally, while we're still on exams and passing and failing, there's the very important expression sacar buenas or malas notas, to get a certain type of grades, good grades, bad grades. Okay, so if I wanted to say I got good grades, I would say saqué buenas notas. And if I wanted to say something like I will get bad grades, I would say sacaré malas notas. Okay, so notice this is the verb sacar, and I've used it here in the past tense, in the preterite, saqué, so I got bad grades, or sacaré here in the future to say I will get bad grades. Okay, so vamos a ver las instalaciones. Las instalaciones. Interesting word. Instalaciones, facilities. Okay, what facilities are there in schools? Well, the generic ones. So I could say, what would I need to know the facilities at school? Well, it's especially if I either hear or have to write or talk about what there is or what there was. Okay, so I could say, for example, en mi instituto hay, so in my secondary school there is. But I could also talk about facilities to say, for example, en mi escuela primaria, at my primary school, en mi escuela primaria había. Okay, if I'm writing about school and I want to use a past tense, and I may also with that I may want to be comparing my current school and my old school, so I can use había, there was. Okay, so what facilities could I talk about here? So I could talk about un aula un aula, a classroom, un aula, un laboratorio, lab, un salón de actos, a hall, okay, the school hall, salón de actos, un pasillo, corridor, unos vestuarios, changing rooms, vestuarios, un patio. A patio is the, what's it called, playground or yard, okay? I could also talk about una biblioteca, y una sala de profesores, staff room or teacher's room. Okay. Now, when talking about facilities in your school, remember that you would need to describe them. Okay, you would need to give more information than just say there is this, there is that, or also, of course, you can say no había. You can also talk about what there isn't or what there wasn't, but think about using adjectives and saying more about it. Okay, so you can use adjectives like grande, big, but also things like moderno, antiguo, old, anticuado, which is old-fashioned. Okay, another word for old-fashioned, pasado de moda, literally like past the fashion. We can also talk about something being bien equipado, well equipped. Okay, and notice that all of these expressions I've given them to you in the masculine, but of course you would need to change it depending on what you're describing. Okay, so if you're describing, for example, the library, la biblioteca, I could say en mi instituto hay una biblioteca bien equipada. Okay, and I would use the a at the end because una biblioteca is feminine. Okay. So think about any other places you want to describe. Make a list. If I had to describe my school, what would I mention? Have a look. What do I call it? And how would I describe it? Okay. Okay. Other than secondary school, you're going to. Oh, hold on. No, I was about to jump one step. Okay. In secondary school, what other things there are? There is a lot of rules. Okay. Las reglas or las normas. Okay, what do we need to know about rules in school? Okay, and why do I need them? Well, because talking about the rules is something that you may want to do again in your writing. So I can talk about things I can do, or things one can do, and things one can't do. So I could say, for example, en mi instituto, and then positive things. What things can we do and how do we express it? So I could say, for example, en mi instituto se puede, one can. Se tiene que, one has to. Se debe, one must. O es obligatorio, it's compulsory. Okay? So these are for things, how expressions to say what you have to do. And what sort of things may we have to do or be able to do at school? I could say llevar uniforme, wear a uniform, and remember to go through the different types of clothes, la corbata, la americana, las medias, los calcetines. Make sure you can describe your own uniform, both for boys and girls, if you wear uniform at your school, because that's something you may want to do in your writing, for example. ¿Qué más se puede o se tiene que prestar atención? Pay attention, prestar atención. Ser obediente, be obedient. Or things like portarse bien, to behave well. Okay. On the other hand, there are things that we should not do at school, and how do we express that we shouldn't do something? Okay, we're going to use expressions like no se puede, no se puede, no se debe, o está prohibido. It's prohibited, it's banned or forbidden. Okay, and what sort of things could we talk about here? Well, I could say no se puede mascar chicle, chew gum. No se puede correr por los pasillos, run around the corridors. No se puede portarse mal, behave badly. No se puede hacer acoso escolar, do bullying at school. O no se puede molestar. Molestar is to bother someone, okay? Nothing to do with the word molest in English. It's just to bother someone. So, no se puede molestar en clase, por ejemplo, okay? And remember, there's another verb that we need to bear in mind when we're talking about rules, and it's the verb cumplir. Cumplir las normas. It's to follow the rules. And the opposite is incumplir, okay? And what happens if we incumplimos las normas? That there's un castigo, a punishment, and the verb is castigar, okay? Castigar is to punish someone. So I could say, me castigaron porque masqué chicle, okay? They punished me because I was chewing gum. Okay, so let's leave the school to one side. What happens after this year? What happens after you've done your exams and you've done really well? What are you going to do? So let's look at post 16. Okay, what happened after? Let's call it post 16, after this year. So I could talk here about sort of planes para el futuro, planes para el futuro. Or I could say quiero, and what could I say? I could say a few things. I could say quiero estudiar bachillerato. Estudiar bachillerato. Bachillerato would be the equivalent age-wise to the sixth form, okay? It's not equivalent, it's a very different system because it's much more general education than very specific, a few subjects. But in terms of age, it's also the 16 to 18 education before university. Okay, so quiero estudiar bachillerato, and a few subjects. Let me mention some subjects that you may do at sixth form, at bachillerato in the UK, that you may not do at GCSE, so you may not know. So things like, for example, I could say quiero estudiar sociología. Quiero estudiar sociología, sociology. Quiero estudiar fotografía. Quiero estudiar psicología. Quiero estudiar ciencias económicas o economía. And I could say, for example, quiero estudiar ciencias audiovisuales, media. Okay, ciencias audiovisuales. Other than bachillerato, what other things could do? We could say quiero hacer formación profesional. Formación profesional is like vocational studies. So anything that is more of a or learning to do a trade or learning to do a job, that would be formación profesional. So I could say, for example, haré un curso de, what things could you do? We could say peluquería. peluquería, hairdressing, maquillaje, makeup, un curso de mecánico, mechanic, un curso de informática, IT, sastrería, tailoring, puericultura, childcare, cocina, as we mentioned before, cooking, okay? So lots of different expressions that I could use to talk about different sort of more vocational courses. And then the other thing some of you may be going to do and may need to say is, so if we follow with the quiero, I want to, so quiero, and I could say quiero hacer un aprendizaje. I want to do an apprenticeship. Quiero hacer un aprendizaje. Or we could say quiero trabajar en, I want to work in, and then you can say whatever you're going to be working at, where you're going to be doing an apprenticeship. Okay, so lots of different options for you to mention. And then finally, when we finish that, if you if you, for example, do bachillerato and then go to higher education, which would be in Spanish educación superior, so this would be the equivalent in Spanish of higher education. So I could say, for example, I could say, of course, iré a la universidad. Iré a la universidad. Estudiaré, some things you may want to mention, derecho, law, ingeniería, engineering, arquitectura, medicina, okay? And I could say estudiaré, the other thing I could say is estudiaré la carrera de o el grado de. So these are two words for degree, okay? Carrera o grado, okay? And some of you may want to take a little break, and you could say, for example, me tomaré un año sabático. Okay, I will take literally a sabbatical year. That's what you would call a gap year. Okay, me tomaré un año sabático. Wouldn't we all? Okay, so I hope this helps you write about your current education, your past education, talk about primary school, for example, and your future intentions once you finish your GCSE. Vale, pues vamos a mirar el mundo laboral. And this expression, what does this mean? Remember, el mundo is the world, not word, world, and laboral it's basically it's work related. Okay, work related. So even though the word for job in Spanish is trabajo, okay, job is trabajo, anything relating to work, we will use this adjective laboral. Okay, and in fact in English you've also got the word labor, yeah, to do with work, with working. So laboral it's got to do with trabajo. Okay, so what expressions are we going to need in this field? So first of all, let's start with what we would say if we haven't got a job. Okay, if I haven't got a job, what would I say? I would say things like estoy en paro. Estoy en paro. Yeah, it literally means something like I am sort of stopped. Okay, paro is the word for unemployment in Spanish. Okay, I could also say estoy parado or parada. I am unemployed. Or I could say also estoy desempleado
o desempleada. Of course, I could also say simply no tengo trabajo. Okay? Now, if I have a job, okay, I have a job, what would I say? What expressions can I use? So I could say, for example, of course, tengo un trabajo o tengo un empleo. Okay, trabajo, empleo, synonyms. I can also say tengo un puesto de trabajo. Okay, un puesto de trabajo is also, it's another expression for job. Okay, and puesto is similar to the English word post. Okay, I can also say, of course, trabajo de, I work as. I could say trabajo en, I work in. So I could say, for example, trabajo de peluquero o trabajo en una peluquería. Okay, so trabajo de is for what I do. Trabajo en would be for where I work. And I could also just use the simple soy, I am. Okay, so I can say soy peluquero. I am a hairdresser. Notice that I don't say soy un peluquero. Okay, so in Spanish I don't say I am a hairdresser. I could just say I am hairdresser. And if you're like in an in-betweeny stage, okay, you are maybe a student, you are studying to be something, you want to become something, you could use expressions such as quiero convertirme en, okay, I want to become, for example, quiero convertirme en ingeniera. Okay, quiero convertirme en ingeniera. I want to become an engineer. Or you could use the future. Me convertiré en, for example, fontanero. I will become a plumber. Okay, so convertirse is the expression for to become. And of course, other than me convertiré or quiero convertirme, I could also say just simply quiero ser, okay, so quiero ser fontanero. I want to be a plumber, for example. Okay, so we've got now some expressions to say that I don't work, that I work, what I want to do in the future. Let's think about jobs, okay? Let's think about jobs. Los trabajos, we can call them los trabajos. We could call them los empleos, another word for job. We could call it los oficios. Okay, oficios, maybe it is a little bit more like a trade, something like that, but oficio is also a word you may encounter. Now there are of course lots of jobs, and there are lots that you will already have learned back in Key Stage 3. Okay, so do revise them. And there are lots that are cognates. Okay, especially. There are many that are cognates, but let's look at some that are a little bit more obscure and that you would need to know. Okay, okay, we've got, for example, to start with, we've got let me choose a different color. We could say, for example, soy abogado or soy abogada. I'm a lawyer or a solicitor. Soy albañil, a bricklayer. Or we could also talk about constructor. Constructor is more like a builder. Okay, so probably if you have a company who does building, you're constructor. If you work doing the building and the company is not yours, you would say soy albañil, probably. You could also talk about soy azafato or azafata, a flight assistant. And for this, there's also auxiliar de vuelo. Literally, flight assistant. We can of course talk about, we can also say soy bombero or soy bombera. I'm a firefighter. And there are jobs like, for example, periodista, journalist, or dentista, dentist, where we need to pay attention to this ista ending, okay? Because I can say if I'm a man, I will say soy periodista. If I'm a woman, I'll say soy periodista. So these words that end in ista don't change, okay? They always end in a, even if the person speaking or the person you're talking about is a man, okay? We can talk about, we can say, for example, as well, soy funcionario. Funcionario is a civil servant, okay? Of course, if you're a woman, funcionaria. O soy dependiente, and we do use dependienta for a woman, that's a sales assistant. We also talk about ama de casa, okay? Ama de casa, housewife. The masculine equivalent doesn't really exist much. So generally, yeah, ama de casa, housewife. We can talk about also about enfermero or enfermera, nurse. Another job could be traductor or traductora, translator. And then we've got other jobs like, for example, médico. And you will find médico tended to be used as always ending in O, but maybe more recently people have started using it also ending in A. But okay, so these are only some of the jobs that I would encourage you to go and learn. There are many others, okay? It's a long list you should try and get through. Now there are some words that are worth mentioning as well. They are not related to any particular job, but they are words like, for example, un trabajador or una trabajadora, a worker. You know the word trabajador from hard working, okay? But if it's a noun, un trabajador or una trabajadora is a worker. We can also talk about un empleado or una empleada, a employee. We can talk about un jefe or una jefa, a boss or the head. We can talk about un obrero or una obrera, who would be a manual worker. And then we can talk about un principiante or una principiante, a sort of junior person, someone who's just starting doing something. Notice the word principio, okay, in here from beginning. And also, of course, we've got un aprendiz or una aprendiz, an apprentice. Okay, so lots of words here for you to use if you're doing your writing, and if you're doing, for your listening and your reading. Please, as I said, make sure you go through the list. The list. Sorry. Now these are some of the words, some of the jobs, but also when you're learning jobs, tend to learn also words that would be associated to them. Let me give you an example. Bombero. Okay, we've got the word bombero. Now, you may hear bombero, but you may hear, for example, someone talking about themselves saying apago fuegos. I put down or I put off fires. Fuego is fire. So it may be worth learning words like this, okay? A couple of words related to each job in case they try and make you work out what job they're talking about from vocabulary related to it. Another example could be, for example, the job canguro. Canguro, okay? And for this, you may hear, for example, cuido de niños. Cuido de niños or cuido de niños pequeños. What's this? This is I look after young children, because canguro is a babysitter. We could also hear about, for example, secretario or secretaria. We could hear, for example, hago llamadas. I make calls. mando emails, organizo reuniones, I organize meetings, o archivo documentos, I file documents. Okay, so from this you may have to work out that the word being described is secretario. Okay, or finally, for example, I could have for jardinero, I may hear soy jardinero, or I could hear corto el césped, o diseño jardines, o cuido de las plantas. Okay, so I cut the grass, I design gardens, or I look after the plants. Okay, so lots of different things to look at. Now, in the field of work, one of the things you will be expected to understand are the following: ofertas o anuncios de trabajo. Okay, ofertas o anuncios de trabajo, job offers. And there's some specific vocabulary that you need to understand from this job offers. On the one hand, first of all, we have requisitos, requirements, or requirements, things that a candidate should have. Okay, what things may we find in an advert? Okay, expressions we might find is, for example, imprescindible experiencia. Okay, experience necessary. Okay, or se necesita experiencia. You could also have se necesita experiencia. You may also find disponibilidad inmediata, immediate availability. Okay, you may also have something like imprescindible tener el título de, okay, necessary or essential to have the título can be a degree or certificate, okay, to have the certificate of, and then whatever it is, okay. And then you may also read about habilidades, skills, okay. Another area that the adverts will mention are las condiciones. Condiciones. Okay, you can work out what that is. Las condiciones. ¿Cómo son las condiciones? Las condiciones pueden ser buenas o malas. Yeah, good or bad conditions. The job can be bien o mal pagado, well or badly paid. We can also find bien o mal remunerado, which is a much more complicated word. You would find this in higher rather than foundation, but it may be there. You can also talk about un buen o mal sueldo, good or bad salary, sueldo important. They can talk about las ventajas, and remember also the word desventaja of something, so advantages and disadvantages. They can talk about, for example, if they tell you what's the salary, they can say ganará un sueldo de, for example, 1,000 euros al mes, a month, a la semana, per week, al año, per month. Okay, and you can also read about posibilidades de ascenso, posibilidades de ascenso, which are promotion opportunities, okay? Posibilidades de ascenso. Now, when we talk about la oferta, the offer itself, okay, so the job advert, what are they looking for? What may they say they're looking for or they're offering? They could be offering un puesto, a post. They may say there is una vacante, a vacancy. They can talk about, of course, un trabajo, a job. They can talk about un empleo. And they can also talk about una posición, okay? So lots of different words to refer to the same thing, a job, okay? So don't be surprised if you encounter all of them. And then also in the introduction, okay, when in the introduction of the job, you may see expressions like, for example, se busca, we're looking for, okay? Se busca. Or se necesita. Or you could find buscamos. So se busca is the impersonal. One is searching. Someone is being searched, is being looked for. Se necesita is also the impersonal. Someone is needed. Buscamos is we are looking for. Or necesitamos. We need, okay? You could also see something like se requiere, okay? So lots of expressions as well to introduce that job offer, okay? So all this vocabulary, super important, okay? And then the final section, once we see the job advert, very often the job advert will come with instructions, okay? So you may see, for example, something like si estás interesado or interesada, if you're interested. And what will you be asked to do? Okay, so you may see things like, for example, debes mandar, you must send, debes mandar un email, una carta de presentación, un currículum, un currículum o un currículum vitae. Sometimes they will ask con fotografía. It's very common in Spain to ask for pictures in CVs, even if there's, it's got nothing to do with the job. But anyway, and you may also see something like un currículum adjunto, attached, adjunto. Okay, so debes mandar una carta con un currículum adjunto o un, okay. You could also see something like, for example, si estás interesado, if you're interested, debes rellenar o debes completar, you must fill in or you must complete, un formulario o una solicitud. Okay, a form or una solicitud is like an application. Okay, you could also say debes, si estás interesado, debes inscribirte, for example, en una lista. So you must put your name down. Inscribirse is to put your name down, okay? En una lista, on a list. You could say, for example, debes firmar el contrato. Okay, you must sign the contract. And you could say, for example, debes concertar una entrevista. You must agree, or you must, you must agree a date for an interview, okay? Concertar una entrevista. You could talk about also concertar una cita, okay? Cita is an appointment. It can also be a date. In this case, it's an appointment, okay? And then finally, just to finish with, what happens when we're looking for a job? We could say, we can talk if we get the job, we talk about conseguir el trabajo, to get a job, conseguir el trabajo. And if we actually had a job and we have lost the job, we talk about perder el trabajo. Okay, so lots and lots and lots of vocabulary here from the world of work. I hope it is. ¿Qué tenemos que hacer para llevar una vida sana? Pues para llevar una vida sana, notice llevar is to carry, and in this case to lead, okay? Para llevar una vida sana es importante. ¿Qué es importante? Pues es importante llevar una dieta sana o saludable o una alimentación sana o saludable. Okay, it's two words. Dieta, diet, alimentación, like the whole eating thing. And verbs we can use, as we said, is llevar. We can also talk about seguir. Seguir is to follow. Llevar is to carry or to lead in terms of leading a life. Okay? Vale, es importante también comer comida variada. Varied, ¿ok? Comer comida variada. ¿Y qué es la comida variada? Pues la comida variada está hecha de carne, la carne, el pescado, el marisco, la fruta, la verdura o las hortalizas y las legumbres. ¿Ok? Vale, la carne son cosas como el pollo, el cerdo, ¿ok? Pero también la ternera o el cordero, ¿ok? La ternera, beef, el cordero, lamb. Okay, so if la carne is meat, just go through all the list. I'm going to here for each of these categories. I'm only going to give you some of maybe the most obscure or or the ones that you may not have thought about, but do go through the whole list. Okay, la ternera, el cordero, la ternera, beef, el cordero, lamb. Also think about expressions like la carne roja, red meat, o la carne blanca, white meat. Also, bear in mind something like el conejo, rabbit, very popular meat in Spain, okay, to eat rabbit. So don't be surprised if something like that, came up. El pescado. Tenemos en español el atún, el salmón, las sardinas, pero también el bacalao, cod, el bacalao o la merluza, hake. El marisco, shellfish, el marisco, tenemos los mejillones, mussels, las gambas, prawns o las almejas, clams. La fruta, tenemos las cerezas, cherries, las cerezas, el melocotón, peach, la sandía, watermelon, okay, not to mix up with el melón, which is melon, sandía, watermelon. Of course, there's many more fruits go through it, but these are maybe the most sort of the furthest away from English. Las verduras or las hortalizas, two words to express the same vegetables. We have la zanahoria, carrot, la berenjena, aubergine, o la col, cabbage. Y las legumbres, pulses, we have los guisantes, peas, o los garbanzos, chickpeas. Okay? So in Spanish, if we're going to use any of these words, where could we use them? Okay, we could, if we were giving advice, we could say to people, for example, es importante comer pescado. Es importante comer pescado, to eat fish. O es recomendable comer marisco. O se recomienda, so this is recomendable is it is advisable, se recomienda it is advised. Okay, so two different expressions to say exactly the same. Se recomienda, and then other interesting expressions. Evitar tomar demasiada sal. Okay, it's recommended to avoid taking too much salt, or demasiado azúcar. O tienes que, you have to, tienes que evitar la comida basura, junk food, la comida basura. Tienes que evitar la comida precocinada, ready meals. O debes reducir el consumo de, for example, carne roja. You must reduce the consumption of red meat. Okay, so all of these expressions here are really important to give advice and give sort of general statements on what's important, and all those here are, you know, verbs that would help you talk about this, like health in terms of eating, okay, or drinking. So we got here some drinks, las bebidas. ¿Qué bebidas tenemos? Como bebidas tenemos, las bebidas, tenemos el agua. But remember, agua, although we say el agua, it's actually a feminine word, okay? So any adjectives that go with it will need to be in feminine. El agua con, el agua con o sin gas, okay? Still or sparkling water. También tenemos los refrescos, it's like pop or generally speaking, non-alcoholic drinks that are not water. Okay, refrescos con gas o refrescos sin gas. También tenemos el alcohol o las bebidas alcohólicas. Okay. Y también tenemos las bebidas energéticas. Energy drinks, o las bebidas con cafeína. Cafeína, caffeinated drinks, yeah? So we could say with this, for example, es recomendable no beber muchas bebidas con cafeína, por ejemplo. Ok, vamos a ver los hábitos, ok, los hábitos saludables, healthy habits, ok. ¿Qué se recomienda? ¿Qué es importante? Pues es importante dormir o descansar, to sleep or to rest, descansar, dormir. But what else? What more detail could we say? Okay, so es necesario acostarse pronto o temprano, going to bed early, temprano, okay? O no acostarse tarde, not going to bed late. Or we could talk about as well, acostarse is also a synonym of ir a la cama, to go to bed. Okay? So acostarse, ir a la cama mean the same thing. También es importante levantarse pronto. Okay? So these two important verbs, acostarse, to go to bed, levantarse, to get up. También es importante dormir 8 horas, ¿okay? O un mínimo de 8 horas. También es muy importante o es recomendable hacer ejercicio físico o mantenerse en forma, to keep fit, mantenerse en forma. So here, remember, if I say I do exercise, hago ejercicio. If I say I keep fit, me mantengo en forma. And ways of mantenerse en forma, okay, we can say correr, or remember also expressions like hacer footing, to go jogging, hacer footing, o pasear, to go for a stroll, o ir de paseo, which means the same. Okay. Otras maneras de mantenerse en forma es, un hábito saludable puede ser perder peso, okay? To lose weight. If you're overweight, that will be a healthy thing to do. Another word is adelgazar. Adelgazar is to get thinner, perder peso, to lose weight. We can also talk about ganar peso, to put on weight, which can be a healthy thing for some. And we can talk about engordar, to get fatter. También es importante o imprescindible evitar el estrés, to avoid stress, evitar el estrés. Y también es importante evitar las adicciones. ¿Qué adicciones hay? Pues, por ejemplo, hay adicciones como fumar o el tabaquismo. Okay, 2 words for smoking, fumar y el tabaquismo. Por lo tanto, es importante no fumar. Let's also remember the word cigarrillo. Cigarette, cigarrillo. También es importante no drogarse, not take drugs, okay? O no tomar drogas. Okay? Remember, there's the expression drogas duras, hard drugs, y drogas blandas, soft drugs. And we've also got words like, for example, los porros, things like joints. Y también otra adicción puede ser el alcoholismo. Okay, o beber demasiado. To drink too much. Beber demasiado. And remember an expression, Spanish expression, which is el botellón, which is when groups of friends have drinks like out in the park. We call that el botellón. And also important expressions like, for example, estar borracho, to be drunk, or emborracharse, to be to get drunk. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to say she got drunk, se emborrachó. It's a reflexive verb. It's something we do to ourselves in Spanish. Okay. An important expression as well, when you have something like an addiction and you stop doing that, you can use the expression dejar de, okay, to stop. So you could say, for example, dejé de beber, I stopped drinking. Dejé de fumar, I stopped smoking. Dejé de tomar drogas, I stopped taking drugs. Okay, so important expression, dejar de. And then another way of being healthy is also by avoiding illnesses, las enfermedades. So what vocabulary is important to know in the section of health? Well, first of all, we need to make sure we know parts of the body, okay, el cuerpo, but also that we know things like organs, los órganos, okay, things like el corazón, the heart, los pulmones, the lungs, el hígado, the liver, el cerebro, the brain, okay? These could come up because many diseases may affect this. An important thing is to be able to express dolor, pain, okay? So expressions like, for example, me duele, something hurts me, or me duelen, when there's more things that hurt. So for example, me duele la cabeza, my head hurts, or me duelen las muelas, my teeth hurt. Okay, synonymous of me duele is tengo dolor de. So for example, tengo el dolor de espalda, my back hurts. Okay, so important expression, me duelen, but also tengo dolor. Why may something hurt? Well, maybe I've broken it, so I may want to say me he roto, for example, me he roto la pierna, I have broken my leg. So me he roto, I've broken. I could also say me he torcido el tobillo, I've twisted my ankle, torcido. O me he quemado la mano, I have burnt my hand. Okay, so these are some possible causes. Other things we can say when we are under the weather, we could say, for example, no me encuentro bien, I don't feel well. Or me encuentro mal, I feel bad. Or I could say, for example, estoy resfriado or resfriada if I have a cold. I could say tengo la gripe, for I have a flu. Or things like tengo tos, I have a cough. And then there are some diseases, some conditions that's worth mentioning because you may come across it in writing. For example, we could talk about el cáncer or cancer. We could talk about el SIDA, AIDS. Also someone who's HIV positive. We talk about someone being seropositivo. This may come up, especially if you're doing higher, okay? And another common disease, unfortunately, is something like el ataque cardíaco, a heart attack, el ataque cardíaco, okay? And of course, remember that also in the topic of illness, you may again be given advice. So things like tienes que, tendrías que, you should, tienes que o tendrías que, so you have to or you should. Also debes o deberías, meaning a similar thing. Okay, descansar, tomar unas pastillas, pastillas, a tablet, o ir al médico, o tomar un jarabe, have a medicine, liquid medicine, etc. Okay, so lots and lots of things to look at if we want to have a healthy life. And very quickly, let's have a look at the second part of the second bit that I wanted to touch upon, which was volunteering, el voluntariado, volunteering. What things do I need to bear in mind when I'm talking about volunteering? So, el voluntariado if someone is a volunteer, we would say, for example, we would say que alguien es voluntario o voluntaria. Okay, notice there's not un voluntario, but we can talk about someone being el voluntario. Okay, being a volunteer, el voluntario. And what do I do when I volunteer, when I'm involved in an association? I can do several actions. So first of all, I could say, I can talk about organizar, to organize. I can talk about organizar una campaña de concienciación o de sensibilización. Okay, a campaign to make people conscious, aware of something. Okay, so I can talk about organizar. I can talk about participar en una campaña, to take part. I can talk about ayudar, to help, ayudar en una campaña. Or I can talk about colaborar, colaborar en una campaña. So notice that I can organize it or I can take part in it in different ways. Or I can talk about contribuir a, okay, to contribute to una campaña. Okay, so there are different things I can do if I'm being sort of socially active. But what other things? I can also for example, different actions I could do. I could say I could colaborar en, what sort of places could I help in? Okay, I could colaborar en una iniciativa, in an initiative. I could colaborar en una tienda benéfica, a charity shop, o en una tienda solidaria, same thing. I could say colaborar en una residencia de ancianos o de la tercera edad, en una protectora de animales, animal shelter, en una iglesia, church, o en un, for example, en un grupo de jóvenes. Okay. And other things I could do other than help in all these places, I could do things like, for example, recaudar, to collect, recaudar funds, recaudar dinero. I could also recoger, to collect, recoger firmas, signatures, o recoger comida. Okay, para, for example, para el banco de alimentos, the food bank, el banco de alimentos. Or I could also talk about donar, to give, o hacer un donativo. Okay, so donar o hacer un donativo is to make a donation. Okay. And I could also talk about, for example, dar sangre, to give blood. Okay? And if I'm doing all of this, what I'm generally doing when I'm volunteering and I'm helping others, the ultimate point is probably luchar por un mundo más justo. Okay? Luchar, to fight for a fairer, justo, fair world.
Vamos, en esta sesión vamos a hablar de el medio ambiente y también vamos a hablar de los sin techo. ¿Vale? Primero vamos a hablar de el medio ambiente. ¿Y qué necesitamos saber sobre el medio ambiente? Vale, en primer lugar, saber que vivimos en un planeta. This is my attempt at drawing a planet. It's not very good. It looks like, I don't know, some sort of weird, strange planet from somewhere in the universe. It's meant to be the Earth, ¿vale? Esto es la Tierra, ¿de acuerdo? Así que podemos decir que vivimos en la Tierra. También podemos decir que este es nuestro planeta. ¿Sí? Este es nuestro planeta. Y esto es el mundo, the world, ¿vale? Y en el mundo hay problemas medioambientales, problemas medioambientales, medioambientales. ¿Cuáles son estos problemas? Hay varios. En primer lugar, hay la contaminación del aire o la contaminación atmosférica. ¿Y por qué hay contaminación atmosférica? Varias razones, ¿ok? En primer lugar, en nuestro mundo hay demasiados coches. Los coches también se pueden llamar vehículos o automóviles. ¿Ok? Hold on, this word. Automóviles, ¿ok? 3 different words to refer to cars. Y los automóviles consumen gasolina, petrol, o consumen diésel, ¿sí? Y estos dos proceden del petróleo. Petróleo es el español por oil, ¿sí? El petróleo. Por lo tanto, los coches producen contaminación, especialmente en atascos. Los atascos, ¿sí? Los atascos es cuando hay muchos coches en la carretera. ¿Sí? Atascos, jams. Entonces, ¿qué sucede con la contaminación? La contaminación, which, by the way, you may also encounter it called polución,
because of the effect of English on Spanish, but the more preferred word is contaminación, but you may encounter polución. La contaminación produce el agujero en la capa de ozono. Esto es la capa de ozono y hay un agujero. Hay un agujero en la capa de ozono. Esto produce el calentamiento global, ¿sí? El planeta se calienta, la temperatura sube. Y esto lleva al cambio climático. Posibles consecuencias del cambio climático es la subida, increase, de las temperaturas. También hay la sequía, drought, sequía. Y también hay las inundaciones, floods. ¿Vale? Hay subida de temperaturas, sequía, inundaciones. ¿Vale? Así que esto es consecuencia de la contaminación atmosférica. ¿Qué más? ¿Qué otros problemas medioambientales hay? También hay consumo excesivo de recursos. Consumo excesivo de recursos. ¿Y a qué lleva este consumo excesivo? Lleva a escasez, la escasez, scarcity, ¿okay? Escasez también es lo mismo que decir la falta de, lack of, ¿okay? La falta de comida o alimentos o la falta de agua potable, drinking water, la falta de, lack of, ¿okay? La falta de, good expression. Y esto también puede llevar a el hambre, ¿okay? El hambre, hunger. Sí, o a la sed, thirst, ¿okay? Hay gente que puede morir de hambre o de sed, ¿yeah? Morir de, to die of, morir de hambre o morir de sed. Otros problemas medioambientales son también la contaminación del agua. La contaminación del agua. ¿Y por qué hay contaminación del agua? Bueno, puede haber, a veces hay petroleros. Un petrolero es un barco que lleva petróleo, ¿sí? Petrolero, un barco que lleva petróleo. Y el petrolero se hunde, ¿sí? Sinks, se hunde. Esto provoca la marea negra
oil spill, la marea negra. Y esto lleva a la contaminación del agua. También, muchas veces, hay las fábricas. Las fábricas también contaminan el agua, ¿de acuerdo? Las fábricas emiten vertidos. This is like wastewater, ¿ok? Vertidos. Y también emiten gases, ¿sí? Y todo esto lleva a la contaminación del agua y también puede llevar a la lluvia ácida, acid rain, la lluvia ácida, y a la deforestación, la deforestación, podríamos decir la deforestación de la selva tropical. ¿Vale? Y otro problema medioambiental es la basura o los desechos. Waste, la basura o los desechos. También hablamos de los residuos, como el plástico en los envases. Envase es packaging. ¿De acuerdo? El plástico de los envases provoca problemas medioambientales, especialmente en los océanos. ¿Sí? Los océanos. Y como consecuencia hay especies animales y vegetales en peligro de extinción. ¿Okay? En peligro de extinción. ¿De acuerdo? Vale, esto es un panorama triste. Es triste, pero hay soluciones. ¿De acuerdo? Existen las soluciones para proteger el planeta. ¿Qué soluciones hay? La primera solución es reducir el consumo. Reducir el consumo. ¿De acuerdo? To reduce. Reducir el consumo. O consumir menos. Otra solución es reciclar. ¿De acuerdo? Otra solución es reciclar o hacer reciclaje de los envases de papel o de plástico. O, actually, de metal o de vidrio. Vidrio es glass. ¿De acuerdo? Y también debemos utilizar los contenedores de reciclaje. Contenedores are bins, are the big bins that you find in the street, los contenedores de reciclaje. También debemos utilizar energías
renovables o energías verdes. ¿Sí? Green energy o renewable. Renovable es renewable. Energías renovables. También podemos hablar de energías sostenibles. Sostenibles, sustainable. ¿Cuáles son estas energías? Podemos hablar de la energía eólica o la energía solar, por ejemplo. También podemos comprar o utilizar coches o vehículos eléctricos y debemos también ahorrar energía. Ahorrar, to save, ahorrar energía. Y finalmente también podemos colaborar en campañas para proteger el medio ambiente. ¿De acuerdo? Colaborar, to collaborate, en campañas para proteger el medio ambiente. ¿Ok? Así que tenemos los problemas medioambientales y las soluciones medioambientales. Ok, vamos a hablar rápidamente de los sin techo, okay? Los sin techo. You may have heard that it is actually, there is a link between environment and homelessness and things like, you know, more and more refugees existing, or there being more and more refugees because of environmental issues. It's los sin techo, the homeless, okay? So let's have a look at what vocabulary we would need to know to talk about the topic of homelessness. ¿Okay? En primer lugar, tenemos a la persona. ¿Okay? Esta persona es un sin techo. También podemos hablar de una persona indigente. Indigente is also an adjective to talk about someone who hasn't got anywhere to live. And often we can also talk about una persona necesitada. Una persona necesitada, a person in need, o una persona pobre. Okay? Remember, pobre es lo contrario de una persona rica. Another expression which is not directly linked to sin techo, but you may find it in a text, okay? Talking about, of course, people like refugees may have more chances or more probabilities of ending up homeless when they go to another country. So it may be interesting to know about los refugiados. Okay, the word for refugees. And also we've got the expression in Spanish, los sin papeles. Los sin papeles, que son los inmigrantes ilegales. Okay, illegal immigrants. So you've got without a roof, without papers. Okay, so without a roof, homeless, without papers, someone irregularly in a country. Okay. Vale. A esta persona, ¿qué podemos decir de esta persona? What can we say about this person's circumstances? We can say no tiene dinero. Esta persona no tiene dinero. O le falta dinero, le falta el dinero. O le hace falta o necesita. Okay? These three expressions are ways of saying this person needs, okay? This le falta, he's lacking, and these are two ways of saying he or she needs. So interesting expressions. And we could say no tiene dinero, hasn't got money, or le falta el dinero. No tiene casa, no tiene hogar. Remember this word hogar is another word for home. No tiene vivienda, Okay, this is another word for a word for housing, vivienda. Y a veces, muchas veces, no tiene familia o le falta o le hace falta needs things like ropa o comida. Okay. ¿Cuál es el problema? El problema o el origen de esta situación. El origen es la pobreza, poverty. También podemos hablar de la desigualdad, inequality. Igualdad, equality, desigualdad, inequality. También hay el desahucio. Not the most common word, but interesting if you talk or read about people who are thrown out of their houses. Okay, they're left without a house because they haven't paid or whatever. Okay, so desahucio is when you're kicked out of a place. And especially if you're planning on going and doing studying Spanish at A level, you will probably come across this word. Y también a veces hay problemas psicológicos o problemas familiares. ¿Ok? A veces también hay problemas de adicciones, como adicciones a la droga o al alcohol, y muchas veces, normalmente, han tenido una vida dura, a hard life. ¿Ok? Muchas veces hay jóvenes que se marchan de casa, ¿okay? Marcharse de casa, to leave, to abandon your house, ¿okay? Marcharse de casa. This can be a reason for becoming homeless. ¿Y qué soluciones hay para el problema de los sin techo? Podríamos decir que se debe, notice this expression, se debe, one must, ofrecer un hogar. Okay, we must offer a house or a place to live. We could also say debemos, debemos dar dinero. O debemos ayudar, important verb, ayudar, to help. También deberíamos, deberíamos compartir los recursos. Share the resources. Compartir los recursos. Important expressions here, yeah? Deberíamos, we should, compartir, to share. Y finalmente, ¿qué más se puede hacer? Se puede, one can, se puede colaborar en organizaciones benéficas, charities.